It looks like Caiatl and her Cabal will be one of the main focuses for Season of the Chosen starting next week in Destiny 2. But before we get there, let's uncover her past and secrets involving her father Calus taking over the Empire, a weird infection plaguing her people, and what it means for a possible future alliance.
I was lost once, exiled from my people, floating aimlessly amongst the stars. But then I found it, something breathtakingly glorious, the truth of the universe. The ascendant artifact you've returned to me is an echo of that truth. You and I will need it before the end comes. The future can't be far.
Emperor Calus was a pretty big part of Destiny 2 considering we had 4 raids take place aboard his ship. But if you've seen the new season trailer and you're like, well, who's that Cabal character? I'm not really sure, I don't know the lore behind it. What is the backstory and how Calus got onto the Leviathan, and what role did Caiatl, his own daughter, play in his exile? Let's first talk about that, and then we'll talk about what's going on in Season of the Chosen. Thanks to the Cabal book that we got in the Destiny 2 Collector's Edition, Calus details what happened to the Cabal Empire and who was responsible for overthrowing him as the leader of that empire. At first, Caiatl loved her father Calus. He would teach her the ways of the Cabal, he would let her watch theatrical plays to strengthen her imagination, and even want to share his joys, what he describes as feasts and ecstasies and worlds of delight. He said, "The more I tried to show you what I loved, the more you turned away." Caiatl soon became friends with General Humanareth, the leader of all the Cabal Legion armies. Together they would play games of war and conquest, and the general even gave Caiatl some pressure armor, something that is usually worn on alien worlds or in combat situations, but Caiatl was wearing it at home near Calus. Now, Calus wasn't completely oblivious to this coup. Obviously it came as a surprise, but he did hear whispers about the threats that gathered on the frontier from Caiatl and also the general. But one day, a bunch of those Cabal did plan a coup to overthrow Calus as leader of the Empire. This was of course led by Dominus Gall and the Council and the rest of the co-conspirators, including General Humanareth and Calus's own daughter, Caiatl. Calus figured out near the last moments that this coup was about to happen, so he raced to a room in his empire that would sound an alarm and maybe he would be safe. It was described as a bone of sorts apparently, not sure what it did, if it, did sound an alarm or something like that, but when he went to race to get this item, he found that Caiatl had the bone in her hand. She then crushed it and said, "I will not be weak." After this moment, Calus was exiled aboard a ship called the Leviathan with his followers, instead of being killed. They then set the ship on a random course and let it drift off into space. After Gall was slain by our Guardian, Calus magically reappeared in the system, seeming to have fixed his ship's controls after an encounter with something at the edge of space, something that was most likely the darkness, but that's for another day. Calus's new goal though was to rally the Cabal back under his control now that Gall was dead, the one that overthrew him in the first place. Calus would invite many to his ship, including our own Guardian, who was the one that took down Gall, and then from there again and again we would prove our worth, taking out a robot Calus, Argos, and then Val Kaur aboard the Leviathan, also Galron. So you get the point. From there we did a lot in the Leviathan, including freeing it of that Hive infestation in the Crown of Sorrow and also the menagerie activities. But when the pyramids arrived, Caiatl began to learn about Calus's reappearance and started to track his movements. The plan was to board his ship and take him out for good now so she can assume full control of the Cabal without any obstacles in her way. She sent out a message to the Cabal in the system: "Prove your worth to me by attempting to capture Calus." So many set out to do so, but when this dark fleet or the pyramid ships arrived, Calus and his Leviathan were nowhere to be found. They disappeared.
The orbital path of Nessus has changed, likely due to the sudden disappearance of the Leviathan. I could not find any evidence of the ship or Calus himself on long-range scans, but remnants of the Cabal still linger. According to the intercepted transmissions, Calus's daughter, CAIATL, is trying to rally what's left of the Red Legion, as if we didn't have enough problems.
Dispatching more troops, CAIATL'S Cabal went looking for Calus, but eventually began to get corrupted by a strange Hive infection that would turn them into monsters, Wrathborn. So this is where the whole Wrathborn and Cryptolith situation began. We did fight, Fallen in the Tangled Shore and things like that, but it actually began with the Cabal.
A small tower. There were Cabal gathered around it, enraptured by something I could not perceive. Perhaps their own desperation or madness. A long-range scan of the structure was inconclusive, save for confirming it was of Hive origin. And there are rumors of disappearances among the houseless Fallen as well. Sagira patched into local Cabal communications. CAIATL'S scouts noted unsettling discoveries among the Red Legion stranded in the system. Entire encampments abandoned. Evidence of internal conflict. Mass graves. Whatever is going on with these Hive towers, we need an answer.
This brings us up to Season of the Chosen. So given that trailer, we know how CAIATL wants to ally with the humans with the arrival of the darkness and the threats of the Hive working at their side, and we see that Zavala doesn't agree. CAIATL says bow and he says no.
With my army and your light, the Cabal will crush the Hive. Bow.
No.
So in my opinion here, I think there will still be an alliance. Think of it how it was with Calus. He wanted us to prove our worth, right? So I'm assuming that right after this part where Zavala says no and they point all of these weapons at him, he says, wait, maybe we can work something out, and then they discuss further. Perhaps they propose something like CAIATL will have the Guardians test themselves against her champions in these rituals of combat to prove our worth of fighting alongside her in these new Cabal battlegrounds. Of course, that's just my opinion. We could end up fighting her, but given the multiple cutscenes like this one here as well with the Crow, I definitely find that more likely. Anyway, Guardians, I hope you enjoyed this summary of CAIATL before the season begins in just a couple of days. If you'd like to see some more videos just like this one discussing Destiny's secrets and lore of its universe, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We talked about the Crow possibly becoming the speaker a couple of days ago, and I got a bunch more awesome content planned. So I thank you very much for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.